It's a little after 5 o'clock, KAKU 88.5 FM, and we're getting ready to go live on the show. Today's special guest, we're going to talk all about local business and an island in the Hawaiian chain that some people may have forgot about that is still around. But as we get ready for the show, you know what it is. Roll intro.
Live from beautiful downtown Kahului, on the #1 island destination on planet Earth, the Valley Isle, Maui. From the Akaku studio at Halfway to Hell Plaza, it's live. And now, a man that's known far, but not wide. It's Shaggy!
Yes, all right, and we are in the studio today. It is live. And if you want to join the show, well, you can absolutely do that. It's very easy. We have a phone number, 877-6363. My in-studio guest today is a guy that I have known for, okay, well, I'm not going to say how long I've known him for because he's very modest about his age. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me today in the studio live is Daniel Southmayd from Vineyard Food Company. How's it going today?
Aloha, Shaggy. Going really well.
So okay, we've got a lot of stuff to cover with you today. First off, I want to ask, how is life in catering going for you? I mean, catering, very, very hard work, and you seem to always have like this bubbly, happy, smiley face, and sometimes I'm wondering if that is...
that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just saying, sometimes it could be a little fake, but how's things going?
No, never fake, Shaggy. It cannot be. Things are going well, actually. Things are busy, picking up all the time. We managed to stay around for the past 12 years on Maui. Oh. So, yeah, always changing, always evolving. That's the name of the game.
Okay, so I know that you, not only besides the catering business, you also have a small, shall we say, delicatessen or
Yes,
a nice deli out in Wailuku. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted you in here, because I want to talk about, you know, first just a very general question to lead us into it. How's business lately?
It's been a little off, actually, for Vineyard Food Company, which is a brick-and-mortar establishment. It's a little slow. Wailuku's a tough town for lunch business, actually. Not a lot of parking, almost non-existent, actually.
Wow.
Very few sidewalks, so people don't feel safe walking down the street to possibly come in for lunch. We do have a delivery service that's mitigated it a little bit, but yeah, we struggle along and do the best we can.
Now, out of the last couple of years, because you guys have been, I think, we're in your 5th year as the brick and mortar?
Coming on 5, yeah.
Coming on 5, okay. But over the past couple of years, me and you have kind of noticed this trend with businesses having a hard time surviving in Wailuku. Why do you think that is?
It's a really good question, Shaggy. And I know that there are a lot of answers to that question. Parking's probably =1, actually. The county hasn't been able to get it together to put up any sort of a parking structure. So, you know, people just don't have, you know, the wherewithal to wander around town.
Thanks, man. And for your business, let's just be honest, for the brick and mortar, it is very, very dependent on foot traffic.
It is.
Wow. And you know, when we talk about like parking structures and things, how long have we had this Revive Wailuku plan
as long as I can remember.
And it just doesn't seem to be
yeah,
reviving.
It doesn't really seem to take off. I know that several members of my Rotary Club in Wailuku actually really tried to push it through last time, but it didn't take.
Wow. I mean, that's got to be, like, for you, being a small business owner and depending on that foot traffic, for you, I mean, are we at the point that we're screaming and going, fix this?
Yeah, I think we really are. You know, even in my small neighborhood, the businesses that are there, the cluster of businesses behind me and just around me, the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. But if you park in the wrong place, it's all out warfare, neighbor against neighbor. It's tough.
Is there really warfare? Is there catapults?
Not yet, but don't rule it out.
You haven't created a moat around the business parking yet?
Not yet, although we came close today with the rain.
Oh. Well, here's an honest question for you, because you do have a business that has how many parking spots for your business?
For customers or my employees?
Wow, that's a good question. For your customers?
0. We have 2 spots that are out front that are 2 of, I think, 5 stalls, non-metered stalls in Wailuku town. And those are generally taken up with employees of other businesses in the area.
So if somebody wants to get to your business, they have to park like, what, a couple of blocks away and then walk down?
Generally, they do have to park up behind American Savings Bank in the big lot up there. On off hours, when we do our dinners on Friday and Saturday night, I have some of my neighbor businesses have actually given me dispensation to offer my customers parking in their lots when their businesses are closed. So God bless them. But yeah, it's a real problem, not only for us, but for 99% of the businesses down there.
And do you guys like ever find yourselves like, you know, sitting around the round table like King Arthur and going, we have a problem. This dragon of parking needs to be taken out. How do we as the business owners fight this?
We haven't quite gotten to the round table yet, but there have been a couple square tables involved and some very uncomfortable seating.
Yikes! But you know, when you talk about the businesses there and how you guys kind of communicate and help each other out, I mean, it's got to be hard for that community of owners when you have a business that's been established in Old Wailuku town for years and years and years, just all of a sudden go away. I mean, do you guys ever like just sit around and go, God, when is it us next?
Yeah, of course we do, but you can't really think that way. If you're going to be running a business, you always kind of have to look on the positive side. You always kind of have to look forward and say, what are the obstacles that I have to overcome today? That just happens to be a daily obstacle. So,
and when you say daily, you mean every
single day.
Wow.
Yeah. When I need to bring additional staff on, one of the first considerations is always, where are they going to park? Where are they going to put their car? So just to get the job done. And there have been plenty of times that I'll park a half a mile away to get to work in the morning.
A half a mile. And well, I guess, you know, being in the catering business, that's got to be kind of good because it keeps off the chef's belly, right?
Yes, it does.
You know, it's like, I might be walking that mile to work, but boy, I look good. Well, okay, besides all of like, you know, the sad stuff, we have kind of started to see the silver lining as far as business owners in Maui. We have a couple of new exciting things that supposedly are coming down the pipeline. I mean, are you guys in Wailuku right now going, yes, we're starting to see the light and we're going to turn that corner one day?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said earlier, having a positive attitude is half the battle. So yeah, we always have new things brewing. We've got a lot of ideas for the future going on, and we're pretty excited about them.
Okay. What's like the biggest thing that you're looking to happen in the next, like, let's say we've been there 5 years. So 5 years going down in Wailuku town. What do you think it's going to be like then?
Good question. I really don't know what Wailuku town. I really don't see a lot of change happening for Wailuku town in the immediate future. I just don't know if the money's there. I don't know if the county has the money to put into it.
So, yeah, and this is an honest question. Do you see yourself being able to sustain 5 more years in Wailuku, or is it, and you're not the only business I'm asking this to because a couple of them are doing this, but is it time to start saying, well, Kihei's looking nice, or?
That's always a consideration. You know, it took us forever. It took us 5 or 6 years, actually, to find the location down in Wailuku. We always wanted to be down in Wailuku town. It took us 5 years actually to get down there to find a location. The possibility that we might have to move elsewhere in order to expand, it's very likely. But we still love being in Wailuku town. It's still very much the heart of the island. We have a lot of support down there from the community. So yeah, who's to say?
Well, you know, I mean, I love old historic towns, and when it comes to Maui, there's like 2 good ones to me. Like, as far as history that are still actual towns, there's Lahaina, the Front Street side, and everything, because it's very old styley. You know, it's that 1960s Elvis throwback thing, art decor. I don't know what they're calling it these days. But then there's also Old Wailuku town, which is one of the oldest main streets on this island. I mean, you've got to feel a certain amount of prestige being a business in Old Wailuku town, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I'm really lucky because a lot of former tenants actually of the building that I'm in have come through at one point or another over the past 5 years to tell me about what their business was like, what it was like being in Wailuku town at that point. So I feel like I know a lot of the history, not only of my building, but of Wailuku town itself. Feel very fortunate for that.
Well, I mean, any day that you're in business these days, you got to feel fortunate, though, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
Oh, God, But, Wailuku town. Great businesses, a great plethora of stuff, and you have the First Friday parties. Now, the First Friday parties are always about, let's encourage people to come out and explore Wailuku town and really expose these businesses. But after the First Friday parties leave, is there really a lot of that foot traffic and a lot of that top-of-mind awareness left for the businesses there? Or is it just like, oh, well, we did that First Friday, but they don't exist until the next month?
No, I think First Friday is good for Wailuku in that regard. I think that I think it does give Wailuku businesses a lot of exposure. For some businesses, such as my own, we right now are not doing First Friday celebrations. We did them for a long time, but for a restaurant business that's very close to Market Street, it's not going to do very well. Most people want to be eating at the food trucks, at the stands, drinking beer up at the beer garden. So we find it's difficult to actually draw people down the street to another environment for sit-down dinner. We've tried, musicians and poetry readings and all comedy. We've tried all different sorts of things, but for First Friday itself, actually, it definitely gives Wailuku town a lot of exposure.
I mean, if you say you've tried, like, let's just be honest, everything.
Well, you can never try everything. One of the things that probably hinders us on First Friday is the fact that we do not have a liquor license. Our place is BYOB, beer and wine only, and that's the way we like it. That's the way our customers like it. We'd probably draw more people in if we did have that liquor license, but we're just not at a point that we want to deal with that.
I actually have a good suggestion. 2 words: mud wrestling. What do you think?
I love it.
Okay.
Although I'll tell you, I probably have plenty of Jell-O in stock. We could substitute that for mud.
Perfect. We've got the best business model. So next First Friday, come down to Vineyard Food Company for full contact Jell-O wrestling. I don't think that'll fly.
You never know.
Oh, God. But, the liquor license thing, and I mean, that's a kind of a big part of business. They're really hard to obtain these days. So I gotta know, like, what made you say, yeah, we can't do that? Is it just the price of liquor, or is it the price of the liquor, the price of getting the distributor and getting all the products in?
It's a variety of different reasons, actually. It's the cost. It's the paperwork. The LC on Maui is tough. It's a tough entity. I don't think I'm telling tales out of school there. And we just didn't want to deal with it. There are a lot of restaurants on Maui, and I've noticed more and more these days, actually, that are BYOB. One of the people leading that charge, believe it or not, is Floyd Christensen over at Mama's Fish House. Although Floyd, I'm sure brings in a lot of money from his bar, he also understands that people are, in this economy, which is still sketchy at best, people are still looking to save money, and people enjoy their own vintages. People enjoy being able to save money that way, bring in their own wine. And we sort of look at it as value added, actually, instead of subtracted.
That's an odd concept for me, because I'm going, if I'm a business, and especially if I'm a restaurateur, fancy word, I'm gonna want everybody. I don't care if it's oxygen. You buy oxygen in my bar while you're there. I mean, I want to make that money. But you're saying that it's actually financially better to go BYOB?
Well, I don't know if it's financially better, but it's working for us right now, and we have a very loyal clientele that loves drinking wine. And they're more than happy to bring in their own bottles, and we chill them. We try to get them at the right temperature for them. We cork them. The only thing we can't sell it. We can't pour it. They're responsible for that.
Okay, because now I'm sitting here and in my head I'm going, the front lobby of this radio station could be BYOB. I could just sell like cookies or something. We'll have a wine bar right here before the show. Imagine that. The next time you come here and you just come in, hey, bring your own wine. I'll let you drink the whole thing before you're on the show.
Well, we've always kind of wanted the focus to be on the food at my place. So it's really, people don't have the mindset of coming into my place and getting hammered. They come in, I guess a lot of people have described my place as sort of a supper club on Friday and Saturday nights where the menu does change every weekend. So you're always getting something new. People are really more about coming in for the food, for the fellowship, for the talk, to feel comfortable. And not so much about, getting hammered. I'm sure that there's plenty of places on Maui that they can do that. Mine, it just isn't one of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're
not yet
hammered,
anyway.
No, if you're going to get hammered, you come down here to Akaku. I'll sell you some cookies at $15 a piece.
Or come up my place, Haiku.
Hey, there you go. All right, well, let's talk about your place as far as like the actual business. When we talk about food, can I honestly say that you're somebody that is, like me, passionate about your food?
Yes, absolutely.
What food? Now, because I've had desserts, I've had some amazing full course like entrees and a couple of just like killer little sides at your place. But if you had to pick, what is your food passion? What is the one food that you like making? Would you say it's mainly savories like normal entrees, or are you a dessert guy?
Well, for me, I'm the baker of the operation, so I'm definitely going to say my passion is for the baked goods. I can cook. I did study it for a while, but what I've done since I was probably 6 years old is love baking.
I love bacon too. I can eat bacon on anything.
And I love baking with bacon.
Oh, that's right. Oh, but as far as like baking and the business that you guys do, what would you say is everybody's favorite dessert from you? Because that's the thing that I always come from. The whoopie pies, the pecan squares. Oh my God, the pecan squares. Like right now, we should end the show, go over to your shop and make some pecan squares.
I might have some hanging around, actually.
Oh, I'll take those. Okay. But, what would you say if I had to go up to your customers right now out in the streets of Wailuku and I'd be like, so that guy, Vineyard Food Company, the kind. What's the best thing?
Whoopie pies.
Whoopie pies.
That seems to be the thing that people remember us for, yeah.
And you do those in like a couple of different flavors, right?
I do. Growing up in New England, it's I had them all the time. Being over here, the recipes change a little bit due to the climate, but your basic one is cake. It's like a deconstructed cupcake, really. So 2 discs of cake and sandwiched with buttercream. The classic actually is marshmallow filling, but I do it with buttercream, and I usually put some schmear of something else to give it a little kick. For the chocolate ones, I'll do a bittersweet chocolate ganache. For the banana ones, I'll do maybe a nut praline or something along those lines. So
I just got to ask, why did we not bring samples today? What is the deal with this? Is my show not sample worthy anymore? Oh God, how
Calamai, Shaggy. Next time. You know where we are, man. You can come over anytime.
Well, I mean, you do like some impressive baking, especially with the whoopie pies. Your cupcakes, though. Oh God. Is it very hard for you, though, being the cook? Because I know, like, chefs, you have to sample everything. Is there one time that you just got to be like, I need to stop sampling. I cannot see my toes anymore?
Yeah. People ask me that all the time. They ask me, how I've managed to maintain reasonable weight doing what I do. Quite honestly, when you're surrounded by food all day, you don't necessarily want to eat it. So although I say I don't eat my baked goods, which I don't, I do sample them, of course, for quality control. If it weren't for quality control, I'd probably starve, actually. I just, after you're cooking all day, baking all day, you just don't necessarily want to eat it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that some people get, because if you're a chef, if you have your own chef, like 5-star, you're a Michelin star chef, and you are just performing at the top of the game, when you get home, it's pizza.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was telling somebody the other day, I ran into one of the chef instructors a couple of years ago at a grocery store, and I was in the middle of a party, actually, and my staff had asked me for a bunch of junk food to bring back to snack on, Snickers bars and Doritos and Coke and what have you. So I went to the cashier, loaded down with all these things, and the chef instructor was in front of me, and her arms were loaded down with junk food. And she turned around and said, "Oh, Daniel, I see you eat like I do, and you're on off hours."
You know, I just can't imagine, though. I mean, here it is. You have in your head, and I'm just being a novice, naive, stupid little cracker. You have all this knowledge in your head of how to make great food. How do you go from having all of this stuff and then all of a sudden, hey, tonight is DiGiorno?
My tastes are actually very simple. I really don't have very elaborate tastes at all. I enjoy fine food, certainly, but I don't want it all the time.
No, I mean, my wife says I have the taste of wet cardboard. That's basically the consistency that my palate can recognize.
Oh, come on, Kylie, really?
Yeah, a little bit. But okay, now onto your palate though, because this is kind of interesting. You would say that you have a well-trained tongue, correctly?
Sure.
Sure. I mean, just for the purposes of culinary purposes, well-trained tongue. There's this whole thing that I've been pursuing, okay? When it comes to chefs, when it comes to like people that actually do this for a living, after a while, if you work in my field, in radio, these headphones start to take away your hearing. You know, we keep them on about 6-7 hours a day, and then when you're out of them, everything just sounds like a constant.
Sure.
But using your taste buds all the time, do you ever taste something and then, one of the other guys that works with you tastes something and you come up with two completely different feelings about the same thing?
Very rarely, actually.
Really?
Very rarely. Yeah, we all just the other day, actually, there was a sauce being made and it was missing something, and we went around the kitchen. Everybody had a spoon and dipped it in and took a little taste to see what it needed, and pretty much we all came up with the same answer as to what it needed.
Salt.
Salt is a little sour, actually, a little lemon juice.
Oh. And how do you judge this stuff? Because, I know the guys that will sit there in a kitchen and they'll tell you everything needs salt or pepper. How do you actually, when you put something on the palate, what do you want it to hit like? Do you want it to hit the sweet, the sour, and everything all at once? Do you want the flavor to unveil?
Really depending on what it is. I think you want to try to unveil either that or hit everything at once. It really depends on what your dish is.
I favor the flavor shotgun blast to the tongue.
See, I'm more of I like the shotgun blast to the tongue as well. That's good for me. I like spicy foods. I like something that's just going to hit me right then and there. But that's more of a question for one of our chefs. being the baker of the operation, not
a lot of love in the baking department, huh?
No, they put me over in the corner of the building. They try to keep me quiet.
Hey, you just make cookies. That's what you do.
That's me.
Oh man. And when you go to doing like parties and things like that, because I know you guys are involved with all these civic groups like Women Helping Women. You do like just a bunch of like Rotary. I think you're still doing Rotary.
Amoa Family Services, Pacific Cancer Foundation, Maui AIDS Foundation. I could go on and on.
Yeah, there's a long list. But when it comes to like their special requests, because I know in shop it's always the whoopie pies, but I gotta imagine when you go out to these organizations, their request for their desserts or their sweets has got to be way different. Like, what is the most extravagant dessert that you've had to make for one of these functions?
A lot of these larger functions, they don't really go in for elaborate desserts. It's really very basic. When you're catering to 350 people, you don't necessarily want Cherry's Jubilee or anything elaborate or showy. It's going to be something very basic. By the time these kind of functions are usually very well structured. You're allotted a certain amount of time to get dinner out so they can move on to, let's say, an auction or dancing or what have you. So it's just going to be something very basic. A lot of these big functions is very basic desserts. The more elaborate desserts are actually probably more for house parties for smaller groups of people.
Yeah. I mean, you have all of this Jell-O at the shop. Why not just make everything a Jell-O night? I mean, if we can do mud wrestling with this, I'm saying that there's a little difference in the stock here.
It's actually not Jell-O per se. It's gelatin. I had panna cotta to do recently.
Oh, and you're saying that like I understand what panna cotta is. What is panna cotta?
For the layman, it's basically cream Jell-O. It's heavy cream or half and half in gelatin and sugar and vanilla, and that's just about it.
That does not sound appetizing.
Oh, it's awesome. Put a nice. I had it with a blackberry port sauce.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, I'm going to say if we didn't get it sampled on this show, it didn't happen. So, okay, next time we're going to make a note to do this.
Damn, I had some too. I should have brought it over. I had some left over.
Okay. Well, in just a second. Well, I mean, we got about like 2 minutes here ahead of the break. There's also another thing that you're involved in, kind of one of those lost, causes that seems to get lost in all the shuffles now. We've got the GMO guys that are out there that are just rah, and then you've got the Obamacare people, they're out there, rah, and then you've got the parking in Wailuku people, rah. But there seems to be, to me at least, one cause that you have had the pleasure of becoming a part of, or
yes.
at least doing some work with,
yes.
that I think a lot of people on the island have kind of forgotten about. Now, before we even mention this place by name, do you think I'm right? Do you think that a lot of the public perception has went away from the cause?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Ouch. This is really going to hurt after the break. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. But you've spent countless weekends away from home over there projecting, and you have a very loyal, dedicated crew. And in just a bit, we're gonna touch on that a little bit. I mean, real quick, when's the next time that you're supposed to go back, though?
I'm looking at the end of this month, very possibly.
This has like become your new vacation home. I mean, you go there more than I
It's
go
really-
to Kahului.
It's really anything but a vacation, but better than a vacation.
I mean, it works on that chef's gut that we all complain about.
Yeah, well, it works. It works magic on the soul, actually.
Well, I before we get to the break, and we've got about like 2 minutes left here, we gotta say big hello to all the crew that you work with, because I don't even remember some of them anymore. It's been so long since I've been in. So who's all the guys that work with you down there?
Let's see. Well, of course, is my partner of 24 years, Chef Ralph Giles, who is probably listening or watching from home right now, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
There is our assistant chef, Drew Kaiser, who knocks it out of the park every day. Super proud of that boy. He has become quite an awesome chef. There is Carice Halston, who is one of my event coordinators, in conjunction with Nate Warren. Who am I forgetting?
I like how you throw this to me. Shaggy, who am I forgetting?
I've got a wait staff that not only includes Nate and Carice, but Dustin Palos. I've got, oh my goodness, Cassidy Maselli is one of my assistant chefs. Angela Brown works with us. Amy Jackson. I've got any number of people that work with me all the time. Not necessarily on a full-time basis, more on call. But
wow,
I've got a hell of a staff.
And it sounds like you employ half the island.
At one point or another, I probably have.
Wow.
But we keep it pretty lean and mean.
Oh.
So we only have there's only 4 of us that run the place on a daily basis.
No, I know that you're doing this because you like to keep the overhead down, but is it really possible to run like a brick and mortar in old Wailuku town with just 4 people these days?
No. But we do it.
Okay. Well, that's a
Dude,
good, quick answer there. Just no.
Business owners do what they have to do.
Yeah. And I imagine there's a lot of that duct taping and bubble gum and things.
Yeah, we prefer spit and Kleenex, but...
The food board doesn't. The food board does not like the spit and Kleenex approach.
That's very true.
Oh, God. All right. Well, in just a sec, though, because we got to take a break here. And if you'd like to join the show, you can. 877-6363 if you'd like to call in and talk, about anything with Chef Daniel, especially if you're one of the guys sitting at home that's not supposed to be sitting home watching the show right now. You can call in at 877-6363 or drop an email live here on the air to live@akaku.org. And then, of course, we can pass things off and make sure that at least, Daniel, we'll keep you informed with our listeners and viewers' emails, okay? So live@akaku.org or 877-6363. We'll take a quick break here at the bottom of the hour, and when we come back, we'll talk all about the mysterious place that Daniel's vacationing lately.
Get your ass suit. You're not in here.
Yes, I am.
Move. Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how.
Oh, you got...
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Akaku Community Media Center empowers our community through access to education and tools to create video productions. The Michael Clark Studio is a full-feature production studio. The studio is available free of charge to community producers who are Akaku Studio certified through the Intro to Studio class. To get trained and learn more, contact Akaku by calling 871-5554 or visit akaku.org.
Back, and it's Daniel, Southmayd, from Vineyard Food Company, and also mysterious trekker to the rest of the island. Now, let's go ahead and say that for how long has it been since you started volunteering with the KIRC crew?
The Kirk, which stands for Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission. I have been volunteering with them since last August.
Wow. And how many trips have you made over to the island so far?
I think it's 6.
6?
I think it's 6.
God. Okay. Honestly, because this is an island that, you know, for everybody that does not know about this island, sits right off that way. If you're looking at TV, you see which way I'm pointing. If you're looking at radio, pretend you know where I'm pointing. The island is right there. It was used as a bombing range by the United States Navy for a long time. Then in 1996, Bill Clinton signed it back over to the Hawaiian people, and we started a cleanup that was supposed to leave at 70% of completion. Do you know what level of completion they actually got to before they pulled out?
I don't know. I know where it is now, approximately where it is now. It's about 60, I want to say 64, 65% cleared. It's right around there.
Okay, because and I gotta ask, have you seen the movie Hurt Locker?
Yes, I have.
That's kind of what you guys are doing. You're going over there and cleaning up old ordnance from time to time, huh?
Well, I'm not. I'm certainly looking for it when I go over there, but they have specialists for that.
Oh, okay. So what is it that you guys, when you go over with Kirk, what is your primary job? What is the thing that you accomplish on these long weekends when you take off?
We do restoration work. I'll give you a little bit of history about how it came about, actually. My friend Dustin was invited over back in August. Actually, it might have been last June by the cultural director, Kui Gapero of the Kirk. And Dustin asked Kui if he could bring somebody along, and Kui said sure. So the first access that we did was August 31st of last year. And we really didn't know what we were getting into at the time. Because there were only 3 of us besides the cultural director on that access, we saw a lot of Kaho'olawe, which was amazing. We did some cleanup around camp, weed whacking, and moving some boulders to create sort of a garden area in base camp. Mm-hmm. When we go over now, we've gone over mostly with the cultural director, Kui Gapero. There's also a marine director and a restoration manager, Paul Higashino, who does planting. He does erosion control. He's trying to restore natives on the island, bring them back to Ko'olave. That is a massive task. We're doing things like building alaloa around the island, or a path around the island that they say is going to take 50 years to complete. My friend Dustin and I want to get it done in 25 or less.
Wow.
So anybody who wants to come help move boulders and create alaloa over in Ko'olave, please let me know.
Really?
Yep.
So now we know that you got involved through your friend Dustin, and that Kirk is like really out there actively soliciting for people. But let's say somebody's watching today and they're just like, wow, that sounds so great. And not 25 years, let's make it in 20 years. How do they come about, like, who do they get in contact with to even get started?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a waiting list actually, but and the Kirk is running out of money very quickly. They have about a year and a half left. The original money was, I think, $400 million.
Really?
The Navy managed to blow through most of that without a lot of significant cleanup, and certainly no restoration work. There's about $5.5 million left. There was a bill in the House and Senate recently for conveyance tax that would have afforded the Kirk some more funds. Unfortunately, that decision wasn't made by the time the budget was due, so the Kirk doesn't get that money. Because there's a waiting list right now and no money to really put towards it, the Kirk has a lot of struggles facing it.
Yikes. And I mean, you know, you have went over there with them. You've talked with them. You've spent time with them. I mean, are they really nervous about the future, or is this just like all nonprofits where you're just like, yeah, we're close to the deadline, we'll make it?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're nervous about it. I think they have a good attitude about it. The island itself, the island will restore itself. It wouldn't be in our lifetime. If we'd just left the island alone, it would restore itself over time. Hopefully, although of course, because so many invasives are over there, because we have climate change and what have you, bringing it back to where it used to be is unlikely. I think that what the state has in its hands, though, is a very great educational tool to teach people about their culture. It's saddens me a lot that the money is not there right now because of that tool. Not a lot, in my opinion, is being done for Native Hawaiians. They seem to be ignored, swept under the carpet sometimes, and that is really what's happening, I think, to Ko'olave right now. The other organization that is on Ko'olave is PKO, that Protect Ko'olave Ohana. And they're more of a cultural practices organization. Started in 1970s by the original PKO 9, which included George Helm and Kimo Mitchell, Emmett Aluli, and others. PKO actually, they do work over there. They help create the Alaloa as well. They do, but it's more cultural practices. So the Kirk is the one sort of doing, spearheading some of the work that requires, vehicles and tools and.
Oh. So you would say that just from an operational standpoint, when it comes to Ko'olave, Kirk is like the infrastructure people, the ones that are putting in infrastructure for this.
Sure, if you could put it that way, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But you say the word restoration, and this is the thing that really gets me. When you talk about restoring Ko'olave, restoring the paths to walk around the island and the old heiaus and things like that, how do you guys even know where stuff is supposed to be and how it was supposed to be originally?
Well, they've got the island pretty well mapped, and you really don't know where a lot of it is. Ko'olave was never heavily populated. People would only be over there for maybe 3 or 4 months at a time to live. It's always been very arid. Of course, after all the bombing occurred, there was no water table left, and erosion, of course, has taken its toll as well. So you're not really restoring heiau, you're not really restoring something that was there originally. You're restoring native plants to the island. and you're restoring the culture to the people. Ko'olave has always been a place where Hawaiians can go to practice their culture. So you're restoring that to them.
Oh, because I mean, when we talk about like, old cultures, the Polynesian culture, when it comes from us people that are of European descent, we have to realize that the largest water body on planet Earth is the Pacific Ocean. And 4,000 something years before even Columbus was out there doing his thing, sinking boats, whatever, on Spain's dime, by the way. He goes and sinks a boat and he didn't even own it. Before he even did that, the Polynesians had covered one of the largest bodies of water on planet Earth. And now one of the places that is, I guess you could say, one of the main navigational points. Is that right? Ko'olave was like a navigational place.
That's correct.
Oh. So now that you're working on restoring one of these main navigational points, do you ever come away from your little excursions to Ko'olave feeling like you've actually connected to the history of this planet and the history of the people?
Yes, very much so.
Oh. And I know I don't want to be a softy, but you're kind of like me. You're a soft guy. You have feelings. Is there ever a tearjerker moment when you're over there going, "Wow, man"?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Every time I go over.
Oh.
Every time. Sometimes several on the same axis.
Yikes! What's the biggest thing that just really takes your breath away when you're over there? I mean, what's the one thing that just grabs you right off the boat?
It's an amazing island. The history, it is rich in history. I think the thing that always grabs me when I'm over there, though, is the people that I go over with. We go over with a lot of students from various parts of the state. We've been out with KS students from the Big Island. We've been out with YNI juniors and seniors. When they first get off the boat, just like Dustin and I, they don't really know what to expect. Within a day or two, after getting out and doing the work, being with one another, a change comes over them that they're really, really invested in it. It changes people's lives, and that's why I think Ko'olave is such a great educational tool.
How has it changed your life? Wow. No, don't cry.
No.
Don't cry. This is not a crying show.
No, there's no crying on TV.
There is no crying on TV.
And it's not Oprah, right?
Yeah.
It's made me very aware. I've always been very aware since I moved over here about Native Hawaiian issues. Like I said, I've always seen them sort of be ignored. But it really brought it home. Ko'olave really brought it home to me. What had been lost and what needed to be restored, what needed to be rebuilt. And it's time to, heal some very old wounds and some very deep wounds.
And people don't understand. Like, for the ones that actually are on top of the Ko'olave, 50-year saga that it's really been, and who owns it? Does it own? Or do we own it? Do they own it? Can we get it back? Can you clean it up? Can we clean it up? And this whole 50-year saga, I mean, people really don't understand how fundamentally important to the history of Maui, in particular, Ko'olave is.
No, they don't. I was actually recently at the Democratic Convention on Maui, which was awesome. And I went to, put myself in front of our governor and some politicians and talk about this issue. And these are all very busy people with a lot of very pressing issues going on. But the person that I listened to, not only spoke to, but I actually listened to talk that night was somebody who gave the blessing at the very beginning. And he stated that it was important to bring all of the islands together, and he made special mention of Ko'olave, even though it had no residents. He said it was most important to bring that in. And it was, out of all the leaders that were there that night, it was only the spiritual leader that really made reference to Ko'olave. Our other leaders are not right now.
Jeez. Now, do you ever think that, I mean, because of your efforts there, do you ever think there will be a stable population back on Kaho'olawe?
I don't know that there ever was a stable population over there. It was certainly, like I said, someplace where people went to practice their culture. It's too arid over there, really, to sustain long-term existence, I guess. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think that it will happen one day.
Wow. I mean, that's, it's pretty big news, because the island, I think, has not been used since the 1900s, when all of the crazy stuff happened before the bombing agreement.
For farming.
Ooh.
Goats.
Goats. That's another thing. I hear that goats over there are like the zombie apocalypse. Like everywhere you go, there's meh.
No, there are no goats over there now.
Really?
No, cats for sure. Although in my times over there, I've never actually seen one, but there is a terrible feral cat population over there that stemmed from those days. Stemmed from those farming days, actually.
And I don't want to say anything too loud, but those got to be some tough cats if they'd survived all the bombing.
Yeah, most likely.
Oof. Oh, man. Is it somebody texting you saying that they're watching on the show?
I think so, actually.
Oh, okay. If you want to, you can hold that text up. We can all read it on this camera if you want, Don't be shamed. Oh, God. But now, you are going, you said, in the next couple of weeks back, right?
Yes, I'm hoping to get out there on the 28th, I believe it is.
28th. Now, how long do you guys usually end up staying over there?
We're usually there for 4.5 days. We will leave on Friday morning and come back on Tuesday afternoon. This last access, actually, I was over there for an additional day. They had some drones going out to do some mapping of the island, so they will expend less fuel, actually, to do some of their projects. They can use this 3D map in the office here on Maui to work on some of their projects.
Jeez. And when you guys, you're already getting set, and you launch from Kihei when you go over.
From Kihei boat ramp, yep.
Okay. And when you show up at the dock, is this like a guy's camping night? Like you show up with your tent, your sleeping bag, your own pack and stuff? Or is this stuff that's provided to you and then you kind of had a pre-established, I guess, base head there?
No, when you go over with PKO, actually, you're down in Kihei for the night with your tent or sleeping bag or whatever you choose to bring. When you go over with the Kirk, actually, you are on a double hull boat going over. And they literally show you the ropes as to how to travel on the boat and safety and what have you. They're both PKO and the Kirk are very concerned for safety. When you get over to Kaho'olawe, you're in the old military barracks over there. When you're with PKO, they're actually camping. They're although they have a structure or two over there, you're pretty much camping out under the stars. The Kirk, actually, we're in the old military barracks. We have full-on kitchen and mess hall, and there are about, I'm going to guess, maybe 20 buildings over there, for, say, woodworking, for automotive, all
Really?
that good stuff, yeah.
And how many cars are we talking about are over there that would need an automotive shop?
Well, actually, there are quite a number of vehicles over there that the military left behind.
Any tanks?
No tanks that I've seen.
I had this whole world domination plan just mapped out with some old tanks. There you go, ruining it for me. Huh.
There are some big trucks over there that I don't know if they ever are even really used anymore. There's a lot of equipment over there that sits idle that the military left behind, but the Kirk certainly utilizes what they can.
Yeah. When you go over and you actually start to work, like what kind of tools? Because, like I said, old ordnance. So I'm imagining that you guys don't go walking into the hills with pickaxes.
No, absolutely not. When you're say you're working on the Alaloa over there, you're not pulling the boulders out of the ground with spades. That is not allowed. Some of it's only been surface cleared over there. So you do have to be very careful. Like I said, the Kirk is very cognizant of safety. If you didn't drop it, don't pick it up is something you hear all the time over there. I have seen ordnance over there, certainly, that, we've contacted the UXO people, the unexploded ordnance people, and said, okay, well, we saw this. You need to go check it out. I have learned, I've watched people use the metal detectors over there. So I could probably do that if need be.
But would you really want to? I mean,
there are markers up all over the island. Saying "Do not cross." You know, so it's never really. I never really give it too much thought. Actually, I never really think about it all that much when I'm over there.
Yeah, I like how we concentrate so much on the baking stuff and so much on the catering stuff. Oh, I'm going to walk around some old bombs. I don't really even think about it.
After that, cakes are so boring.
I gotta imagine that your demeanor in the kitchen has changed radically, you know, because most chefs are like Gordon Ramsay, and here you are, like calm as a bomb.
I'll tell you, actually, another thing that I do while I'm over there is I cook for the crowd. Whatever groups that we have over there at the time, I'm in the kitchen making breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them, along with Dustin. Actually, he's my main backup in the kitchen.
Wow, I'm starting to see your role in this whole Kirk thing. You think that was intentional? That was like, hey, that guy Daniel from Vineyard wants to come over. Yeah, man, we can make him cook.
Hey, they're smart over at the Kirk, I'll tell you.
God, and then like when it comes to who takes the boats over and stuff, the Kirk staff, like, are these people that we would know?
Very possibly.
Well, I mean, you know, because it's a very hard job that you're doing on Kaho'olawe. There's constant danger. There's the fact that there's old military equipment that nobody knows why it's there. You have feral cats, possibly zombie apocalyptic feral cats that have survived a millennia after a bombing raid. So there's that to consider. I mean, you know, at the end of all of this, who are some of the other players besides you and Dustin?
Let's see. Like I said, Kui Gapero is the cultural director over at the Kirk, and Kui is an awesome leader. I mentioned Paul Higashino is the restoration manager. Dean, whose last name escapes me right now, is the marine director over there with Jennifer Vandiver. We have, oh my goodness, there are any number of interns over there right now, including a great guy by the name of Eddie Vine. It's there's the stalwarts that are over there. We actually do boat ramp cleanup at the last Saturday of every month to get the boathouse not only the boathouse cleaned up, but actually to establish a native nursery over at the boathouse. So actually the Kirk can start making money by itself. They're actually prohibited by the bylaws to make any money off Kaho'olawe. Which that's something else that needs to change as well. Really? So more money can be generated to help, restore Kaho'olawe.
And I mean, how much money are we talking about? Like when you guys take a trip, do you know how much they spend just for the trip?
I don't. Fuel costs are insane. They don't run the helicopter anymore because of fuel costs. It's only the boat now that they'll run. Let's put it this way. There's about 5.5 million, 6 million, something like that left. And they anticipate that's going to take them another 1.5 to 2 years before they run out.
That's really quick to run through that money. I mean, has anybody thought, I don't know, about not paying a cook to come over?
That's the thing. There is a cook over there. The main cook that's over on Kaho'olawe is, it's a paid position. I don't get paid for, going over there and cooking. I could do it on a completely volunteer basis.
Okay, so why the hell are you cooking if somebody else is getting paid for it? I don't want to poke holes in logic.
He's only over there half the year, actually. Well, yeah, less than half the year. They've pulled back on everything. They have to. In order to, do the important stuff. Yeah.
So to generate money, though, since it's in their bylaws, they can't make money off of Kaho'olawe. I mean, how do you either contribute to Kirk, or how is Kirk planning on raising funds after this 2 years of 5.5 mil runs out?
We're actually talking about that now, since the conveyance tax bill fell through or wasn't decided upon. I've been doing a lot of talking to the Kirk people as well as many other people in the community about how we might raise money. Yeah. We're looking at a fundraiser in October. Don't have a firm date yet, but it looks like it's going to be somewhere towards the top of the month. And most likely over at Maui Nui Botanical Gardens in order to generate some income. Again, the boat ramp cleanup that we're doing to establish a native Hawaiian nursery over there, educational gardens, what have you. They're hoping to do fundraisers over there, and that will generate some income. But what we're really looking at is we need a chunk of change from state, federal, wherever we can get it from.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate to be the guy that's going to point out the obvious thing, but it seems to me that two words really come into play right here with you being who you are, and of course them needing money like they desperately need. The two words are bake sale. Come on, we could wrap this up in a couple of days in the kitchen with some of those cookies and whoopie pies.
Sure,
done.
why not?
No,
Sure, why not?
I mean, and as a business owner, and as a guy that actually controls, a little business in Wailuku, when you guys go to contribute, have you ever thought, hey, let's team up with Kurt here as my business to be a sponsor to help them raise?
Well, I'll tell you, we actually, the dinners that we do on the weekends, on Friday and Saturday nights, most often those dinners benefit a nonprofit organization on Maui, and we have held 2 dinners thus far that have benefited the Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
The money that goes, there, it's not a lot of money, but every penny counts. So if it helps them buy more plants to put over there, if it helps feed people while they're over there doing the hard work, then great.
Yeah, like when we talk about plants and stuff, what kind of plants are you guys taking over? Because I kind of thought, me not being very scientific, that all of the indigenous plants are gone. So why would you transplant other ones?
You're not transplanting other ones. You're bringing in natives. Again, that's actually I'm not the plant guy. That's my friend Dustin. And you should have him on sometime to talk about, these natives that are going in over there.
Well, especially since he texted you before the show and, I'm watching you, and you invited him on here. You're damn straight I'm going to drag him kicking and screaming into the studio. He has stuff to answer to me for. Oh, God.
He's probably bashful.
Yeah, well, whatever, man. This show is not professional. So if you're going to be bashful, this is not the show to be ashamed of, okay? Actually, everybody in the building's ashamed of this show.
No, I doubt that's true.
Yeah. But outside, nobody should be ashamed of coming on this show.
No, absolutely not. Everybody should come on every now and then if they have something good to say.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Because I was so interested in not only, the whoopie pies, let's be honest, favorite thing. I was so interested in when you started working with the Kurt, because I'm one of these guys that has always had this natural curiosity to what's out there. And then here on the waters of Maui, just overlooking that side, there's this island that's just sitting there, but nobody's on it. And in my mind, I'm always racing for the mystery, going, what is it like? And then you went. To me, you're like, you're kind of like my astronaut right now. You've explored the outer realms.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to do what I do.
Oh, man. And God.
And you'll have to come over sometime, Shaggy.
Yeah, see, that would be the thing. I would love to be able to, and my boss is watching this show, so I would love to be able to take cameras and go over there and actually, document some of this stuff, because to me,
that would be awesome.
Absolutely fascinating.
That would be awesome. It needs more exposure. People need to know more about it because it needs to be restored. It needs to be given back.
God.
It's a critical part of the culture over here.
Well, when we talk about handing it back, I mean, like as far as operational status, how far off are we from actually just allowing natives to go there unprohibited? Because I know there's like some red tape when you try to go.
There are. It really all comes down to the sovereignty, which is imminent, it looks like. Basically, the Kirk was put in place to hold the island in trust until a Hawaiian sovereignty was established. If that happens within the next year, it's going to be up to that sovereignty to decide how they want to handle it, what they want to do.
So you're thinking that the sovereignty vote is going to go good? Because I've been following that story too, and I don't want to bring it up on the show, but you're saying it could be a go.
It could be a go.
Oh.
Not necessarily in a fashion that everybody's going to agree upon, and of course it's going to be a lot of work. But yeah, I think it's going to be a go.
Oh God! Well, Daniel, I got to say, big thank you for coming on to the show today.
Thank you so much, Shaggy.
Oh no problem. And next time, samples.
Absolutely,
samples.
Without fail.
All right. Well, I got to say, big thank you from Akaku, and thanks for tuning in tomorrow, 5 o'clock, we're going to have a lovely show with a lovely lady that went to the Merry Monarch. Until then, though, we're going to get out of here for the day. And since we are a station, why not? I should play a song, right? Let's get out of here on, this one. It's Randy Hauser on 88.5. And for everybody else...